Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a movie called An Invitation to Murder, which is streaming on Amazon Prime. And let me tell you, I love mystery and thriller, and though I wasn't necessarily expecting a lot from this movie, the fact that it was inspired by Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None really kind of had somewhat high hopes for me, and I kind of was disappointed. So let's get into that. But before we get into that, please make sure you like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And with that said, let's get into it. So, An Invitation to Murder is a 2023 film that is directed by a man named Steven Shimmick and stars Mischa Barton as Miranda Green, a somewhat amateur sleuth who is a florist in London. The cast also includes other various people, including Chris Browning as Donald Walker, Bianca A. Santos as Carmen Blanco, Seamus Dever as Lawrence Kane, Gillis Matthey as Dr. Philip Armstrong, and a few others who round out the group of six strangers who are called to a mysterious island, to a mansion in 1934 England. Right off the bat, I didn't necessarily realize that it was the 1930s. Like, I thought, okay, maybe they're dressed a little bit, not eccentric, but differently than we would dress now, but it wasn't too crazy. I mean, I know they didn't dress crazy in the 1930s, but like, I don't know, it didn't really speak 1930s to me. And also the way they were speaking also didn't really say, oh, this is 1930s. One of the people who were there, who was the reporter, you know, he says, there's a line that he says that a husband was beating up his wife, something fierce. And like, okay, that took me aback because I was like, oh, like, does this take place like in like 30s, 40s? But it was weird because he didn't say it in the manner that people back then would have said it. So it kind of caught me off guard. And I don't know, I could have missed it. Maybe they did say that this was the 1930s at the beginning of the movie and I just missed it. Either way, it didn't really feel that way to me. Anyways, the premise is fairly simple. A reclusive billionaire invites six strangers, all of whom have never met, to his remote island mansion, the remote south of England. Also, I just want to say that there is a twist in here, that I'm not gonna, there are spoilers in this video. However, I'm not going to say certain spoilers or certain things, just in case you want to check the movie out for yourself after this video. So this is a light spoiler video type of video, I guess. So once they're there, a guest turns up murdered, and Miranda Green decides that she is going to be the one to lead the charge to find out who done it. So if you are an Agatha Christie fan, at least a fan of And Then There Were None, you would immediately spot the similarities where, these people, they're invited to this mansion off the coast of wherever it is. I can't remember if it takes place in America or England. And then one by one, each guest is murdered, and they have, I believe it's toy soldiers or something on a mantle, if I remember correctly. And every time somebody is murdered, one of those things disappeared. And at the end, it ends up being a certain person, blah, blah, blah. You get the gist. So I thought that that is kind of where this movie was going to go with, subtle differences or, heavy differences, but kind of sticking to that story. And it really didn't, which is okay if it went along a better route than it did, and I was disappointed. And there are a vast majority of other mystery movies that kind of take this premise where People are invited to a remote island in a big mansion, whether it's old, modern, whatever, and then people start getting murdered. You know, we've seen that in the second Knives Out movie, Glass Onion, which I loved, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, like I just feel like this one didn't do that type of mystery justice. And so, you know, it takes that Agatha Christie route. Strangers come together, a murder happens early, you know, suspicions turn inward. It must be one of the guests, right? And then everyone becomes a suspect. However, while I feel like Christie's story ramps up tension as one character after the other is, you know, murdered in some is murdered in like an ingenious way. I feel like Invitation to Murder opts for a gentler, more cozy, mysterious vibe, which is okay if it turned out to be good. However, I don't feel as though this movie really delivers. I don't think it escalates in suspense ever. And you don't get the stakes that you would get from like one of Christie's novels, unfortunately. And thus, I feel like this version is more of a lighter homage than like an adaptation, which is fine. I think they've made at least two movies about Agatha Christie's, and then there were none. I don't need it to be a full-on adaptation. I just wish it was a better plot and a better story. Okay, so let's talk about our clever sleuth, Miranda Green. You know, she's definitely meant to be this clever amateur sleuth. Like, I guess you could kind of like compare her to like a 1930s Miss Marple or something like that. Or maybe think of some other amateur sleuths that you thought, you know, really did their sleuthing justice. However, I feel as though her character is just way easier to tolerate on like paper than on screen. I was getting very annoyed with her character. She was getting under my skin. I did not like her character, and I don't think that she was as clever as the writers intended her to be. Like, I kind of found that she was, like I said, annoying in the way, in the sense that I felt as though she was talking down to the other characters. She constantly says like she notices things that other people don't. And I'm just like, the things that she does notice are things that other people certainly would have noticed, and maybe they just don't say anything, or maybe you just noticed it first because they didn't get a chance to, or like they make her character like do something that had no rhyme or reason for her even doing it in the first place. And then they're trying to make it seem as though she noticed something, but we didn't see her notice anything for her to even take this action. Like there's a scene where like she comes out of her room and she starts knocking on the wall to find out, I guess, where it's like hollowed out to see if there's like an empty space behind it. But prior to that, we don't see her do or say anything or see anything that would have led her to just exit her room to start knocking on the wall randomly. It's like, okay, did you just have like she doesn't even make this idea like, wait, I have a thought. I mean, make a face like, wait, I have a thought. Like she just does it and it's like, okay, so we're just supposed to believe that she just notices things, that she's just so smart. Like also, aside from just talking down to the characters, like she always like just gives orders as if she's in charge and expects everyone to kind of defer to her intuition. Like she brings people, like I don't know, like there's a detective at some point comes in at the end of the movie, and she's like orders the detective to take them away. And I'm like, okay, girl, what? How do you have the authority? At one point, she's like, oh, I'm going to get the police to arrest you, to one of the characters. And it's just like, who gave you this authority? And why isn't anyone saying anything? I think somebody does address it, but still, like, it was the bare minimum and it never comes up again. I don't know. I just feel like it was very hard to take her seriously as a sleuth. Like maybe she'd be good for like a children's type of mystery, but I feel like for adults, like just no, you know? Yeah. I guess if you're hoping to find like a sleuth with like sharp wit, nuanced dialogue, maybe yeah, like I said, opt for Ms. Maple, Hercule Poirot, I forget what his name is from the Knives Out mysteries, but he's also really good. I love him. Yeah, no, she just wasn't it for me this time around. I'm sorry. Okay, and I think we're gonna talk about the killer reveal because that was so disappointing. I mean, like this character, I actually think that they were the did the best in way of acting throughout the movie. Definitely great. However, I just feel like the way they made this person come across towards the end, like they were the ultimate suspect. At the end, they were the person who did something. I just wasn't feeling it because they were so different throughout the entire movie, and then they made them act this way at the end, and it just, to me, it wasn't befitting of them. Not befitting, it didn't fit them. And not only that, I just feel like the reveal, it wasn't shocking, it wasn't clever, it was very predictable. And I don't necessarily think that predictable is always bad. However, I do feel like the lead up to it needs to be somewhat dramatic or somewhat tense in a mystery. And then when we reveal who the person who has done it is, we need to give them like somewhat of a good reason for doing this. Not saying they necessarily had a bad reason, but it wasn't provoking. It didn't draw you in. It didn't make you go, what? None of that. I don't know. I feel like in a strong whodunit, the reveal should kind of make you go, oh, that's why I missed the clues. That's actually brilliant. But here it kind of feels like, oh, them. Okay. Kind of knew that. Am I going to get more? No. All right. That's what it feels like here. So the motive doesn't land with much weight. The buildup isn't layered enough to make it feel satisfying. And it just lacks payoff where everything kind of clicks into place. It doesn't have that. It does not have that at all. Like instead of a dramatic unmasking moment, I feel as though it kind of just happens. And there's also like a little silly stuff happening up to this point as well that did not need to happen and didn't make any type of sense. Yeah, there's no emotional punch. There's nothing that makes you go, "Oh, this was worth the journey." I just matter of factly, I kind of felt like, "Dang, I feel like I kind of wasted a little bit of time because nothing really happened this entire movie." And honestly, this is kind of a big reason why, even though I feel like the movie set up a kind of nice premise, um, it had the potential to have a really good vibe. The setting is nice, but I don't think they used it the way that they should have. And that's it. It just leads this movie to be kind of forgettable. And at the end of the day, the setup kind of doesn't matter if the ending doesn't hit. And with that being said, that is why I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. Good idea, decent setting, but weak sleuth, predictable story, bland reveal. It's entertaining only if you're interested in watching a slow, cozy mystery with familiar tropes. I mean, this movie doesn't deviate at all from a regular mystery, which again is fine. Should be done well though. I'm not going to say don't watch it because I'm sure there are people who will love it. I did not. And if you love it, that is also fine. However, if you came for sharp detective work, mysterious twists and turns, you're going to be disappointed. And so that is what I will say. If you are looking for that, maybe don't watch it if you don't want to be disappointed. If you just want to watch it in the background and you're not looking for all of that at this time, go right ahead. Watch it if you want, watch it if you don't. I'm just here to give my opinion. Anywho, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoy reviews of movies, books, and shows, which will, widely encompass the mystery slash thriller theme, I also do other reviews as well. Subscribe to my channel, like this video for more content like this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.